this thing happen. If you have any opening statements, any comments, things that you want to share from the beginning of camp, wherever you want to take it.
Well, no, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take questions. We're excited about where we're at and excited about the Big 12 Conference playing football.
All right. Our first question is going to come from Jenny Carlson of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, this is the first time we've talked to you in quite a while, and since then we saw a couple videos that you put out, and there was obviously a talk after the players met with you this summer about change. You talked about changing yourself, and you've always been pretty proactive in improvements and doing things within the program. How do you feel like you've changed? I mean, you've been at this a while, but how do you feel like you've changed in the weeks and months since that all came down this summer?
Oh, nothing more than just listening to the players and getting back into a routine.
How do you talk about listening to the players? What sort of things? I mean, are you meeting with guys differently? How does that look different within the program?
Well, not really anything, honestly. We're back to normal around here. We're up and running. Just looking forward to the season.
Thanks, Jenny. Our next question comes from Cody Nagel of 24/7 Sports. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Mike, how you doing this morning?
Good.
I guess, how do you feel about how the players have dealt with all the distractions, having a season, not having a season, and all the different safety protocols with COVID-19?
I think it's been difficult for them because they didn't have direction, but as of the last week, we have direction, and they've been awesome.
Thanks, Cody. Next question is from Joseph Fazio of the O'Colly. Go ahead, Joseph. Joseph, are you on mute?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Joseph. Go ahead.
All right, Coach, I don't know if you've seen, but a lot of your players have seen the videos that have come out from this weekend of a lot of people not really socially distancing when they go out to, the bars or parties. What do you think that says about how seriously people are taking the coronavirus, and could it have a potential effect on whether you guys play football this season?
I don't have any comment on the virus. I just want to talk about football.
Thanks, Joseph. Next question is from Nate Fakin of KFOR. Go ahead, Nate.
I was proud of the Big 12 Conference and Commissioner Bob Bowlesby for moving forward. Outside of that, I don't have any information. Those meetings take place. I'm not involved in them. We're really excited about what Don brings. He's been awesome. He's come in, great addition for us. He's worked hard, getting a lot of reps in practice, and excited to have him in our program.
Thanks, Nate. Next question is from Frank Bonner of the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Mike, how are you? How you doing today?
Good, thank you.
When Tyler talked to us, he talked about the stuff that went on during the offseason has kind of made you guys closer. He said, they're being closer with the coaches. Do you echo those comments? And if so, in what ways have you guys become closer as a team since the offseason stuff came out?
Well, our football team's in great shape right now. I only know what I see during practice. The players have had a difficult off season for a lot of reasons, things that are going on. And I'm just excited about where we're at this time with our team.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure.
Next question is from Scott Wright of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
And Mike, I know you guys started out wearing the full face shield, and based on the photos we've seen, you guys have gone to just masks. Can you kind of talk about the decision there and what the difficulties were with the full face shield?
I'm just following the advice of our medical staff. They've been fantastic. Our group has done an unbelievable job to get us in the position we are now. And they're listening to feedback from the players. And then I'm just kind of following their order.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Next question is from Garen Emig of the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Garen.
Mike, good morning. Condolences on your mom, by the way. I was very sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
What are the conversations like with any players who are either considering opting out or who have any concerns whatsoever about their safety in the midst of all of this?
We haven't had any one-on-one conversations. It's been addressed as a team, and we've expressed to them that if anybody's uncomfortable and doesn't feel like that being on the team is something that they want to do at this particular time, that if they opted out, that the university would take care of them.
Just to clarify, have you had anyone make that decision yet to opt out?
I have not been made aware of anybody on our team that said they wanted to opt out at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question comes from Cliff Brunt of the Associated Press. Go ahead, Cliff.
Yeah, Coach, it looks like you've lost a couple of offensive linemen to the transfer portal. Just wanted to know how that's going to affect you and who has an opportunity to step up in those spots.
Well, younger players will have to compete. It happens at times. And so hopefully we'll have some of those guys that will have a good 3 weeks before we play the first game against Tulsa.
All right, thanks, Cliff. Next question is from Eric G. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, Mike, I was just wondering where you guys were health-wise at this point.
We're doing really good. We've got everybody out there practicing, and so I'm excited about where we're at as a team from a health standpoint. Our practices have been very enthusiastic, and we're starting to get back into some sort of a normal fashion during this time of year.
Thanks, Eric. Next question comes from Barry Trammell of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Mike, when one thing you've done pretty consistently over 15 years is talk about the experience of the players and how you wanted to create an environment that is great for them, and you had believed you did that. Considering that, how much did it pain you when you heard some discontent from the players this summer? Personally, how much did that sting, and how much were you motivated to rectify whatever the problem was?
Well, I listened to what the players had to say, and then took all things into account, made some adjustments and moved forward. And it's been awesome here the last 6 weeks since that time.
Have you and Choba had any private talks, just the two of you, on a regular basis?
Sure. I've talked with everybody on our team, and Chuba would be included in that group.
Thanks, Barry. Next question comes from Bill Haston of the Tulsa World.
Sorry, Gavin, can you hear me all right?
Yep, fire away, Bill. We can hear you.
Mike, yeah, I'm super sorry about your mom, Mike.
Thank you, Bill.
So this, at Oklahoma State and at every other program, it's just, this year has been extraordinary. It's been damn near every day there's something somewhere. Has it just felt like being in the eye of a hurricane? Even if it had been an uneventful, quiet offseason at Oklahoma State, Mike, I mean, what this year, I mean, what has it been like personally for you to be in the middle of trying to take care of some personal stuff with the program, and then looking around the country and you're like, there's never a slow day. There's never an uneventful day in college football right now.
I think the lack of direction has been the most difficult for the players. Coaches, we have to adjust. We have to play the hand that we've been dealt. And as I said, once the Big 12 said we're playing football, it changed the overall state of the program, the players, the coaches, everybody, because we had direction. So we've had to make adjustments over and over and over and over again. But now everybody's in a great frame of mind. We've had great practices, and it feels normal, which is a good feeling to have based on all the information that's been out there over the last 6 to 8 weeks.
You know, even if you get to play football, it's pretty obvious that every program in the country, every athletic department in the country is going to get popped, if not slammed. From a revenue standpoint, was that your motivation for stepping up and proposing a pay cut? Is that why you did that?
I prefer to not talk about anything that has to do with revenue or pay cuts at this time.
Thanks, Bill. Next question comes to us from Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob. Jacob, I think you might be on mute, bud.
Hey, Mike, how's it going? Sorry.
Good, Jacob.
Hey, I know it's kind of been a long off season and everything. Leads to some reflection for a lot of people. What have you kind of learned about your players and maybe about yourself through all this stuff this summer?
Well, I think that, again, I'm repeating myself now, but the uncertainty across the country in a lot of different areas, and the virus has changed people and the thought process. And so, as coaches, you know, I just said a second ago, we have to adjust and make decisions on the run. Once we have direction for the players, things fall into place a lot better and gives us a chance to get back to some normal part of a football season.
Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Robert Allen from Triple Play Sports Radio. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, Mike, you only had 3 days of spring football. Now you've had, you know, a fall camp that maybe wasn't normal, but at least was full. You hired Tim Rattay to come in and work with the quarterbacks and maybe do a really good job of developing Spencer Sanders. Looking back on the hire of Tim Rattay and how that's worked out so far, and maybe the way Spencer looks right now.
It's still really early, Robert, but I like Tim Rattay. I like his approach. I like his style. He's very low key. He's a good teacher. He's had tremendous success playing, coaching. He's very mature. I think he's a quarterback guy from the standpoint he relates to the players. So we'll see as the season moves on, but how I feel about him at this particular time is really good.
And Spencer, how has Spencer looked?
He's doing good. You know, he's a year older and a little stronger and making some plays and making the adjustments based on Coach Dunn and what we're doing on offense. So, you know, he should continue to improve each day.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Robert. Next question comes from Frank Bonner of the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Mike, kind of piggybacking off the last question, with Spencer Sanders being, you know, a year more experience, Tylan Wallace coming back from injury. You know, last year Hubbard looked a little fatigued towards the end of the year. How much of that will kind of help keep Hubbard fresh down the stretch, knowing that Wallace is back and Sanders is going to be, you know, a year better?
Well, anytime a guy gets a year experience, he should improve, and I think that will happen with Spencer. We have a number of guys that can make plays. We're fortunate that we have quite a few wideouts, and we've got running backs. And you know, Chuba was fatigued and beat up a little bit toward the end of the season last year, and so we're bringing him along slowly this year and trying to get him in tip-top shape to start the season, and doing the same thing with Tylan.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Frank. Next question comes from Caden McFarland of KJRH. Go ahead, Caden.
Coach, you talked about the adjustments and adjustments on top of adjustments that you've had to make. I'm wondering what some of that looks like. I assume you're talking about with like practice plans and things like that. And have you settled on something that you're comfortable with going forward? I assume, you know, discarding some things that you had in mind and, you know, adjusting to the adjustments.
Once the Big 12 gave us direction, we settled in on a plan all the way up to the first game. Prior to that, we all tried to do the best we could. There wasn't a lot of focus because of lack of direction, but since that point, we've got a plan, we got a practice schedule in place, and just instilling all the importance to the players of protecting themselves against the virus and then trying to get ready to play a football game and start school. Today's the first day of classes, and we need to do everything we can to get players in the frame of mind they're back in school, get into the what would be a normal routine for the veteran guys, get the young guys adjusted, get them ready for classes, and get ready to play a game against Tulsa.
All right, we're coming up here on our last couple questions. We have to get Coach out of here by 9:55. So our next question is going to come from Barry Trammell of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Mike, the format for this season, one non-conference on the 12th and then a break and then start the conference season. Considering what we were looking at in the spring, are you pleased with what the Big 12 came up with? And with such a veteran and promising team, do you like how it sets up for you? What are your thoughts on the schedule format?
Well, again, I said earlier, I think the Big 12 conference led by Bob Bowlesby was fantastic in the way this was handled. And we all have to play the hand that we've been dealt. And so for us to be able to manufacture a conference schedule with the addition of a non-conference game is what the conference says we're doing. So for that reason, we're getting ready to play Tulsa and then get into a conference schedule. And I will say that in listening, I didn't have any input during this process. I listened, but it's extremely difficult to get to where we are now with all the different things that are going on. And our guys did a great job in putting us in a position to play a season.
Thanks, Barry. Getting down to our last couple questions here. We go back to Bill Hayson from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Gavin, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead. You're good.
Oh, damn it. Mike, I wanted to ask you about your offensive line and how jarred you were to lose a couple of veteran guys. And because you've always said, it's your preference or it's really optimum if you can get a guy on the field by his third year. And now you're going to have to go with some younger guys, presumably like Birmingham maybe. But how do you feel about the personnel you've got up front to work with now?
Well, we have some young guys that are going to play for the first time. So obviously you'll be into adjustments. Guys that are young aren't going to play as good as experienced guys. So, but one thing we talk about all the time in our program is you never know when your chance is going to be there. And so now we have a couple of young guys that have to step up and play. Everybody else has to make those adjustments. And coaches have to make the adjustments just like the players. So we just push forward and stay the course.
Thanks, Bill. Our next question comes from Jenny Carlson of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Mike, you were talking about adjustments in practice earlier. I'm wondering if there's been any adjustments in, like, don't let, your first and second string quarterbacks live together, or, like living arrangements, guys taking virtual classes if they can. I'm just wondering sort of what kinds of things you guys might have even looked at adjusting beyond practice.
Everything you mentioned, Jenny, we've done. All the different areas to protect each other from the virus, and with masks and different meeting rooms and living arrangements and the way we eat. It's been very unusual, but I'll go back again to what I said is our medical team with our doctors and trainers and staff have been fantastic. And have put us in a position that's somewhat unbelievable with where we're at right now. And all the different areas that you mentioned have been taken into account over the last 2.5 months.
Do you have a sense of how many of your guys might be, I don't know if you can take a full class load virtually, but do you have a sense of like how many guys might be mostly or all virtual classes this year?
I'm going to say that 75% of our guys will be 9 of 12 hours or 12 of 15 online, just from the number of classes that will be offered on campus because of the situation we're in. We will have guys on campus, but it won't be near the number of guys that will be on campus as to other years. Some of that is university choice, some of that is by player. But it'll be different than it has been based on the situation that we're all put on with the virus.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jenny. Next question comes from Scott Wright of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Mike, could you talk about what the ESPN documentary has been like? What's been like having those guys around and following you everywhere?
Oh, it's been fun. Good guys, you get to know them. You know, we did it before. I don't know how many years ago it was. 7 or 8, 9 years. They all run together for me. But I think it's really good for our players. I think it's good for our staff. It's good for people to see the inside of Cowboy football and our culture here. They have an inside look. They're involved in everything, and you know, it takes time. And it's not the easiest thing for coaches because you know, we try to stay the course when it comes to working on football all the time, but you have to make special exceptions when you have a crew following you around like ESPN's doing us during this year.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Scott, our final question will come from Robert Allen. Go ahead, Robert.
Muted. All right. Okay. I just wanted to ask you in general about the defense, because you've got so many guys returning there, a lot of playmaker type guys, and Harvell Peel and Sterling and Rodriguez, and even up front, Trace Ford. Just seeing him a little bit in the spring. Trace Ford made kind of meteoric jump in the offseason, bigger, stronger, faster.
I'm really excited about our defense, their attitude, the way they're flying around, their encouragement, their enthusiasm has been fantastic. And we have a number of guys that have a lot of snaps on that side of the ball, and that's the way it should be in practice. So I really like our schemes. I like the attitude of our players. Looking forward to 2 weeks of practice and then watching them play in a game.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Robert. Coach, before we end the call, do you have any maybe closing remarks, maybe something that you'd like to talk about that we didn't cover already? I
think we got it all covered. It's good to see you guys again, and good to get back in front of everybody. Looking forward to the football season, and I'm super excited. You know, we're into maybe a week now of at least having some direction, and so again, I think that's awesome. Our medical people, I know I've said it, have been unbelievable to get us to the point we are, being as healthy as we are at this time. Again, I want to congratulate the Big 12 Conference for their work. So I'm looking forward to the season, excited about practice, and look forward to talking to you guys next week. You guys take care and be safe.